Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Green Pill Secret. Today, we're going to talk about serving your country. For this Veterans Day, I want to talk about my service to the nation. As you may know, I was working for the Navy for 18 years. I was ununiformed because I was a civilian, but I have great respect for the men and women who serve in the military, who I served for to make them safer. And that was my mission, to make them safer so that they could come home safely. And that's why I took great pride in my work for the Naval Research Lab. The thing is, though, that I knew many veterans and many men and women in uniform at the job. And I always felt a great loyalty to them because they risked their lives day and night for our safety. And as such, I wanted to dedicate this episode to service and especially to our men and women in uniform and our retired veterans. I want to say also that what is in my mind, look, I want to go back. As a kid, I didn't really like the military. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought the way it was being used in those days as just a big bully pushing around people with their military, I didn't like it. But when I did work for the government and saw what they were doing and saw how important, how they were as individuals, it gave me a different perspective. And I'm so happy I have that perspective. I am shame, little me. I did not know. One thing that I will say more than anything is that the service in our United States military is by far one of the greatest lift up, taking you out of poverty and giving you the middle class. It is dear to my heart that our military is, in a sense, the best way out of poverty. It is a way to show you structure, to show you discipline, to show you that there is a better way. And you may not know this, but if you're smart, the military will train you and teach you new technologies, new ways of doing things. Not everyone that goes to the military is going to go on the front line. Not everyone is going to be there with the gun facing off on the enemy. Now, if you are, then more power to you. And I want you to fight with the best valor you can and protect your brother and sister. But many of them are support. Many of them are manning the radios or making sure that the secret transmissions are indeed staying secret and making sure that they're keeping in touch with higher command to make sure that the operation succeeds. One thing I want to say, though, is that the military, as a great public works project, insofar as it is helping us out of poverty into the middle class, it was prohibited to women for most of its history. And it is a very touching thing that I have grown friends with many of our women veterans. And the women veterans, I have such a great admiration for them because they had to work twice as hard to get into the positions they did. And they did so with honor and valor. And they are able to serve with distinction just as men are. And in that respect, it also allows them out of poverty, because allowing just the boys out of poverty is great, but allowing the girls to, even better. And that is another thing that I really love about serving, because it gives you that benefit, and it puts you in a situation where you're dealing with Americans from all over. You're thrown into a team where one guy may be from Alabama and another guy may be from Oregon. You're gonna just mingle and you're gonna know each other. And the thing is that serving, you go overseas and you are representing America. And that itself is an adventure. One thing I want to say, though, is that we in America, and I've mentioned this a few times, and I do want to touch on it briefly as well, for the women that do serve, they are protected as equals from the Military Code of Justice, but not protected as equals in terms of their constitutional rights. When a woman goes overseas, she does not have the same protections constitutionally that a man does. And so that soldier, she does not have the same protections that her male colleagues do. And that's one of the reasons why I have been such a proponent of the Equal Rights Amendment. Because if they are treated equally here, then they will be treated equally there. And while a state constitutional amendment to give a woman, the women of that state, equal rights may protect her in that state, when you're shipped off to Japan or Germany or wherever, you lose those rights because you're not in that state anymore. You're under the Uniform Code of Military Justice and under the constitutional protections you have, and you're not in that constitution. Now, all of that said, one thing that is by far the greatest benefit from serving in the military, beyond simple veterans preference, that you will have some access to federal jobs and get a toe into the federal jobs because you have served. And in the federal government, serving in the military shows that you will be a good civil servant and gives you that advantage. It gives you an advantage in hiring. But more than anything, the GI Bill. The GI Bill has, second only to the military itself, lifted so many of the men and women in uniform out of poverty because the government will pay for your university education. Now, I am aware that because of the way we've done our university system in the United States, where any Joe Schmo can set up a university, I say this tongue in cheek because it's not really technically a Joe Schmo per se. It may be someone else that sets up a university that fails. Not going to say any specific names, but the point is that the for-profit universities can potentially pull you in and grab your federal money and not be there for you, not be your advocate in terms of getting that education. What you need to do, and you're better off going to your state schools because they are they're not private education, they're public education, and in that respect, you are protected by the state laws and protected by a non-for-profit that is not just trying to turn people or take their money and not worry about whether they get the degree or not. But even if you're going to go to a private university, statistics are available. You can see for the thing that you're studying and the type of career that you want, what is the graduation rate from the people that come in on freshman year? How many of them graduate from the university? And if that number is single digits, don't go there because you worked far hard for us, for we the Americans, and we want you to get the best education you can possibly get. And that means go to a university where you can get that education, where you're not tricked into giving the government money to pay for your education that that university never intended to give you. I will talk a little bit more about college in a future episode because I think college is a very important thing to bring up, especially in terms of the social divide that we're seeing in terms of who's college educated and who's not. But in terms of serving your country, I can give no better advocacy than saying, putting on that uniform and thank you for your service. I am just very proud of all you have done for our country. And thank you, all my veteran friends and all my veteran colleagues. Happy Veterans Day and be well. And thank you.